you want a hit, you take an old hit that the new kids don't know about, and you redo it.
Right.
You have a current hit.
That's it.
Chris Brown.
That is
That's
it.
how it happened.
Undecided on Hot937, Hot937.com. We're going live on this Pulse Cellular Hotspot. We got my man in here, Steve Petty.
How are you, Steve? Looking dapper with your little bow tie.
I'm chilling.
Cheetah bow tie.
I know, right? I was trying to keep up with you, Stevie, but I lost.
It's hard to do.
It's a wrap. I've completely lost it.
How are you? Haven't seen you in a minute.
I know, right? Last time I was here, you were out and about.
Yeah.
So I'm glad to be back. Back home.
I know,
at
right?
937.
I know. So what's been going on? You've been busy.
Well, you know, a lot. The most important thing is running schools. We just opened a new school, or gonna open a new school in the Bronx. Boogie Down Bronx. So we have another Capital Prep in the Bronx.
Wow.
We have one in Harlem, and then we have 2 in Bridgeport. And I want to announce that 100% of our graduates have again gone on to 4-year colleges.
Nice.
That's every single year.
100%.
100%.
Wow.
Every single kid.
That's so
amazing.
fantastic.
Every single kid.
So
right
do you
now.
do that as a college prep? Is your curriculum college prep?
It is. That's what we do.
Yeah.
And it's the reason why I'm here. I'm here to continue the conversation about my child, my choice, which is to say, it's not enough that children be forced to go to the school in their neighborhood. You should be able to go to the best school for you. Whatever the interests that you have are. Like if I were into equestrian, I would go to the Nancy Barrow School and I would learn about horses, big gigantic beasts of burden.
She's got that coming. She's got that. She's working on that.
Listen, and you know what? The truth is that when we were starting our first school in Hartford, Capital Prep in Hartford, there was a group, the Ebony Horsewomen, who wanted to start a school in Hartford for that very same thing.
So good.
We have to create opportunities for children to go to the best schools for them, and the problem that we have is there's an educational apartheid going on, where if you're black, Latino, and or poor, you only get to go to the schools in your neighborhood.
Right.
And that's not cool.
Right.
That's not American. That's really not what we signed up for. Nobody should be forced into failure because of their zip code. So that's what we're here to do.
Which is really, it's true too, because like where I grew up in Troy, the Troy High School is no bueno. And
no,
so
I've spoken in Troy.
Yeah. So you
no,
understand.
upstate New York.
You understand. So like my dad, you know, put me in a different school because I went to Albany. Like they shipped me to Albany.
Right.
Because that was a better school system.
Well, and that's the point. The point is that people who know have always found a way through the Underground Railroad to get their children out of these failed schools. And the facts are the facts. The facts are that whether we like it or not, the school systems that we tend to be in most often, which are Hartford, Bridgeport, New Haven, some of the other school systems, they're significantly underperforming and significantly hurting our children. The only ones who are benefiting are the people who work in them. They get to send their kids to whatever schools they want to. They get to live wherever they want to.
Well, you think of a city like New Britain, there's only like one high school. Except for
one big gigantic high school.
But you can't get into E.C. Goodwin. Like it's like 90 people in the senior class. You know what I mean?
Well, and what I'm fighting for is universal school choice. I want every single child to have access to the best school for them, whether it's a magnet, whether it's a charter, whether it's a vocational technical school, a home school, a private school, whatever school is best for you, because we see what happens when kids have school choice. Again, if you were fortunate enough to be able to go to one of the Capital Preps, and graduate, 100% of you went on to 4-year colleges. I mean, that's just the fact.
Yeah.
And the same is true when we opened our first school in Hartford. 4 of the 4 magnet high schools were in U.S. News and World Report's top performing high schools. How is that so? It's because children get to pick the schools that's best for them. Parents get to choose the schools that's best for them. In the meantime, the other schools are failing.
Right.
And that's just a fact. And people don't want to hear that. Some people don't. But the reason why they don't is because they don't want me to tell the truth. The truth is that when children are forced into schools where the expectations are low, that's when you end up with the low performance. And that's what it is. Those are schools with less AP classes, less college preparatory classes, and just go into some of the schools. They don't feel safe.
It was interesting because where I grew up in Troy, like you only went to your neighborhood school. So I went to school 18 until I was in 7th grade. And then my dad, we were going to go to like the middle school. It was the first year. And then my dad was like, yeah, no.
Well, and that's what happens with many parents. The truth is that, as you did, you made the decision to send your child to a neighborhood school, but that was a decision that you made. It was a decision. There's a very big difference between being forced into something and having a decision. It was the best school for your son, for Denzel. It was the best school for him. But it isn't the best decision for everyone. And what I want to do is I want to continue to fight to make sure that we send children to schools that are the best schools for them. And that's what this is about.
It's amazing, too, how it's changed. You know, since I was a kid, you went to the neighborhood school.
Right.
Or if you could get sent away, you get sent away.
Right.
That was the only way to do it.
Right.
That was it.
Well, how come the neighborhood schools, because I'm sure people listening right now who probably work at those schools and send kids to those schools, like, wait a minute. It's not a bad school.
Well,
how can they improve themselves?
Well, the truth is this, that when you look at schools in places like Hartford and Bridgeport and New Haven, and you see 9% of the children reading at grade level, that's a 91% fail rate. You can't call it a good school if most of the people in the school can't read. Right. You just can't do that. You might say there's some nice people who work there. Right. You might say there's some people who work really hard.
They're going to say that. Yeah.
You can say all those
things. Teachers there.
Nice people.
Yeah.
A person who's a good teacher is somebody who can teach somebody how to do something. It's not a person who does something for a long period of time. It's somebody who can do the job well. Which there's evidence of that based upon a number of indicators, like state test scores of one indicator, other indicators of the way the children feel about themselves. Those are all important. But at the end of the day, a good school is one that prepares children for the next level, whatever the next level is. If you have an art school, it should prepare children to participate in arts. If you're a vocational technical school, same thing. So what they have to do is they have to set expectations higher, meaning the best performing schools, the number one school in this state, the number one high school in this state is a charter school. It's Amistad in New Haven. And that school is over 90% black and Latino and has some of the highest performance in the state. So the lie that we've often been told, which is if you're poor, minority, if you live in a certain community, that these kids don't want to learn. That's just not true. Every child wants to learn. They just want to be in a place where they actually, the promise of learning is going to be delivered upon.
The environment.
It's going to happen for them.
Right.
Yeah.
So you have to create an environment, as Nancy said, you have to create an environment where the expectation is that the children will learn.
Yeah.
When we send 100% of our graduates on to four-year colleges, the reason why is because we know that we're going to do that. We're going to bust our behinds. We're going to find colleges anywhere in the country that are going to accept our children. We're not going to rest until it's done. We're not going to rest until it's done.
So My Child, My Choice, was that your brainchild or?
Yeah. So My Child, My Choice came out of conversations that we were having with parents. And it just was that simple. Parents said, if it's my child, it should be my choice where they go to school. I should not be forced into failure because I can't afford to go to a better school. I shouldn't be forced into a school where the probability is that my child is never going to read on grade level, never going to do math on grade level, and not likely to go to college. I should be able to send my child to the very best school for my child. So we're forcing the hand of many of our legislators, many of whom do use school choice. They send their they already do.
Yeah.
Like, bruh, you send your child to a magnet school. Come on, man. You send your child to a private school. Or you send your child to a magnet program within the neighborhood school. Or you send your child to a VOAG program within the neighborhood school. Come on, man. I know the hustle. So if it works for you, why can't it work for your constituents? I just want everybody to have the same access to a quality education.
So if I was in New Haven and I had kids, I'd want to send it to that school. That is the best performing school.
Yes, you would.
But then all parents would want to send their kids there. So how do you...
Let's say that happens.
Okay.
Let's play that forward,
Okay.
Nancy. So let's say that all the parents want to send their child to the best performing school. You just open up more of them. You don't say to Dunkin' Donuts, man, all these donuts that y'all have, we're only going to open one Dunkin' Donuts.
Oh, wow.
But one might perform better than another Dunkin' Donuts. So I've been there where they don't make my coffee the way I want it.
But you still keep going to Dunkin' Donuts. Therein lies the point. And you're not forced to go to the only donut shop in your neighborhood. They just open up another one, right? Why is it that with education, you are forced into the only schools that you can get into? I'm saying that let's use Amistad for instance. If Amistad is the best school, open another one, and another one, and another one until every single seat is filled.
Correct.
But then you're saying, okay, but if those teachers are what make the difference, then you're going to have to find teachers that are like exactly like those teachers.
Well, that's an interesting point that you make, Nancy. It is not actually that. They have a system. No disrespect to the teachers who work in their school.
Right.
They have a system.
Right.
You know, there's some teams that are going to win or vie for a national championship in college football. There's some teams that are going to vie for a national championship in college basketball. And they're going to be very few Cinderella stories. We get excited about them, but we know what's going to happen towards the end. There are some systems that work. And what happens is these schools that are successful is they have a system. They train their teachers a particular way. They have them teach from a particular curriculum. They have certain expectations as to how the schools are run. And as a result, year on year, they're successful. We have a system at Capital Prep. We have a system. The system maintains itself because the expectations are there. Every single child is expected to participate in a college preparatory experience from the time they enter. Not if you can test into it, if your mother advocates for it, if you're lucky enough for someone to decide that you're smart enough to do it. If you go to a Capital Prep, you are in a college preparatory experience. Period. Period. Not doesn't matter if you're black, doesn't matter if you're white, doesn't matter if you're poor, doesn't matter if you're rich. You're all in.
Why don't more schools do college prep? Like that's what the expectation
Racism.
that you're going.
Straight up racism.
Okay.
Straight up racism because it's believed that some kids are not capable of learning, and it is that simple. Classism, because it's believed that if you live in certain neighborhoods, you don't want to go to college, because if you wanted to go to college, you wouldn't live in that neighborhood. That's what the belief is. That's what we play up. And then what also finally, we make the teachers the victims. We say, oh, poor teachers, you know, they're underpaid and overworked. Well, who isn't? Right?
Let me ask you a question, Steve. When people say negative things about what you're doing, what are some things that you've heard? And how do you deal with them? Because sometimes when you leave here, the phone says, "Where's Steve? I got to talk to him. This is happening. That's happening." What are some of the negative things that you hear about your program?
Well, the biggest one that they say is that we somehow can miraculously choose the children from the neighborhoods, this magical neighborhood, the only kids who could be taught to learn to be successful.
Right.
Which is at its core, and this you heard me just say this a moment ago, it's at its core racist, because it means that there are only some minority kids who could learn. Well, I don't believe that, and we've proven that over and over again.
Everyone has a brain to develop.
And the problem that we're faced with is that I don't spend a lot. The problem for these folks is I don't spend a lot of time worrying about idiots. I don't spend a lot of time. You know, there's an African proverb that says, "Never argue with a fool, because the passerby can't tell which one is which." So I don't engage in that. Here's what I know. 99% of the children who came to us in Bridgeport in the 6th grade could not do math on grade level. 99%. Cherry pick from what? 99%?
Yeah, you're right.
Cherry pick from what? From where?
That's what they say.
Like and you know what? I guess if I didn't want to work hard, I guess if I wanted to take the easy way out, I'd have to call somebody else a cheat. But then beat me. I mean, it's really simple. If what I do is so easy, wouldn't that be awesome? If you got so mad about what I did that you went back to your school and said, well, we're going to outperform them.
Yeah.
Awesome. Do it. Do it.
You want that.
Do it all day. In fact, how about this? Let's all have the same expectations. I run charter schools now. I used to run a magnet school. So let's say that you have to, like charter schools do, you have to apply for a school like I do. You have to get community support like I do. You have to pay teachers less because you don't have as much money like I do. You have to work 201 days versus 187 like I do. Let's say that you had to work on Saturdays and the evenings like I do. Let's say that you had, and then if you were not successful, we'll shut you down. Like that happens with me. So if you want to do what I do, put it up, right? Put your pink slip up. Let's go. Put it on the table. If you don't want to do that, shut your mouth.
Will you expand in Connecticut? Will you do more schools in like the Waterbury areas?
We would love to.
The New Britain areas.
We would love to. We would absolutely love to.
Consider New Britain.
But listen, we would love to go to a place like New Britain, and one of the reasons why is because there are so many children that we had at Capital Prep in Hartford who are from New Britain.
Right.
3 bus loads of kids would come out of New Britain every single day. 3 buses.
Right.
3 buses, because those parents said, nah, I'm not doing this. 3 buses came from Middletown because they said, we're not doing this. Kids came from East Hartford, Bloomfield, Windsor. They came from all over because they said, I will put my child on a 90-minute one-way bus ride to get that child access to a quality education. I'm not going to force my child into a failed school. And
That's
I'm not.
me. That's
I
me. I said Chloe
I
out.
had a 45-minute bus ride.
Listen.
45?
45 minutes to
40
get to a better school for me.
One way.
One way.
One way. That's 90 minutes a day on a bus. That's how important education is to parents. And we will go to the ends of the earth. It's the reason why. See, we don't have a problem as parents when we think a child's a good athlete to send them between schools. It ain't no thing then. Oh, we're sending to 4 high schools in 4 years. Oh, we don't have a problem with school choice when the kid can catch and throw a ball.
Yeah.
See, where the shock, let me just say this to you for real, but what the problem is with our success is that I'm an African American man who's not going to sit here and apologize for being successful in educating black, Latino, and poor white kids. I'm not going to apologize for that. I love that we do it. We're Rage Against the Machine. What we do every single day is prove that no matter where you come from, you can go wherever you want. And so as a result, one of our alums from Capital Prep in Hartford was just named to the ACC all-conference team.
Wow. Yep.
And she ain't paying for college.
That's great.
Free ride.
Wow. That's beautiful.
Free ride.
Listen, because
So who's complaining about that?
I think it's important. I think it's important, me as a father, to be able to send my child to a place where it's diversified. You know what I mean?
And that matters to you.
Because I moved my daughter out of New Britain to bring her to a Taylorville school, and my daughter's really, really like pretty, but she still dealt with racism. You know what I'm saying? And I knew that that's all it was, because I couldn't understand why the instructor was like, you know, pushing her to the side, and it was that. And then I had to send her all the way to Avon, to Anna Gray's, where it's a performing arts school, where they take the time to say, listen, this is what she does, this is her strength, and she's doing well.
But that's the point. You chose the best school for your child, and you had to keep choosing until. But imagine, if you will, there were no choices. Then you just have to sit there and beef with that teacher every day.
My dad was an educated man. He said, no one can take your education away from you. That's why you're going to get a good education. But a lot of parents don't have that basis, you know, to tell their kids. And I was fortunate.
But let me say this, Nancy, and I hear you, and I appreciate what you're saying. Let me also say this. The parents who are on our waiting list, in most cases, don't have high levels of education. But they know enough to love their kids. They know enough to fight for options. And that's all the education that you need. All you need to know is that this mess that y'all are trying to feed me, I don't want. Here's how you know that a school is not a school that you should send your children to. Go to that school and ask the teachers who work there, hey, can y'all raise your hands if you send your kids to this school? All these people who are claiming how much they love this school that they work at, send your kid there then. Right? I mean, for real. If you go to Choate, if you go to Watkinson, right? You go to those schools.
I couldn't raise their hands.
Their hands are fire.
Both hands up.
I went there. My grandmother went here. My grandkids gonna go here, right?
Exactly.
You go to Cheshire Academy. You go to all those schools. You ask them, hey, how many of you send your kids here? I work here to send my kid here. That's why I'm here.
To do it.
But go to Weaver, Hartford Public Buckley. Go to Hill House or the rest. Ask how many of them send their kids there. They still sell houses in New Haven. They still sell houses in Hartford. How come you don't send your kids there? Oh, well, you know, we live in Avon. You can move. You can move.
Are you trying to change curriculum in all the schools? Is that something that you can?
So I'm not trying to do that. So I'm not trying to do that.
Okay.
What I want people to do is, mine is a simple proposition. If you're a parent, you should be able to send your child to the best school for your child. And where you live and how much money you make should have no impact on that, no bearing. I don't care where you live in the state of Connecticut. The state of Connecticut has an obligation to make sure that your child goes to an equal school. And when your child is going to a school where 91% of the kids cannot do math or cannot read on grade level, there is nothing equal about that. Nothing at all. So I don't want your child in that school. I want your child in a good school. And you know it's a good school by going and looking to see, hey, teachers, where are you sending your kids to school? Hey, administrators, where are you sending your kids to school? But here's the real one. Hey, politicians, where are you sending your kids to school? Because in many cases, they live in the hood because they have to, because they represent us in those communities. But they somehow have their children participating in district choice.
Now you're talking about a truth that people don't want to believe.
Yeah,
and that's the fact.
Truth that people don't want to believe.
Well, and that's the fact. And I know, listen, I know where the bodies are. I know where y'all send your kids to school. I do. I really do. My kids go to Capital Prep. My sons go to Capital Prep. I can send my kids to any school in this country. I can send them away to any school. We've done well now. But the TV has worked out for us. Books have worked out. Speaking, I'm not poor anymore. I lived poor for the first part of my life. I lived in public housing until I was 20. Not there anymore. So my wife and I can send our sons to any school we want. We send our kids to the schools that we started. Capital Prep. I wouldn't do it any other way. I challenge every single educator. If you're about that life and you say that your school's so good and you want to fight for people to send their children to that school, put your money where your mouth is. Put your future where your mouth is. Put your money and your future in the same place. Send your kids to the school. And if you don't do that, then you are on my team. We're on the same team. You want your kids to go to the best school for them? I want everybody's kids to go to the best school. Everybody.
Education is definitely the best investment
a lot
that
of
you can
parents
ever
out there
do.
listening right now, how can they get in touch with you?
They can get at me. They can go at Dr. Steve Perry on pretty much every single platform that there is. You know, now that I'm on Instagram, I don't really know how to use it. I don't really know. My sons and I, we work out in the morning. Well, they haven't worked out in the past week. Lazy as hell as they are.
It's so good to have you in here.
Thank you for having me.
And I love that you're so passionate about it. I mean, I really do. I feel like you're speaking. It's like a no-brainer. It's like, duh. Why hasn't this been done? You know what I mean?
And as you said, as you said, it is a no-brainer, right?
Yeah.
Well, the reason why it's a brainer is because there's so much money that's been put into the traditional status quo school system. They built too many buildings. They got too many people working there. That they are not trying to hear me out here telling parents, especially parents of color, they can pick any school they want. The biggest school systems in the state are the highest employers. They don't just employ people in the hood. In fact, the majority of the people who work in Hartford, New Haven, Bridgeport, Waterbury, live in the suburbs. They don't live in the hood. And so these big employers that the school systems are, they are the public employment system, they are keeping the suburbs going while destroying the hood. And I'm saying, I don't want that anymore.
We love having
coming
you
from
here.
the projects,
Woo-wee!
like that's because coming from the projects where you have the most slang, it's so hard to get that education. Like, it's so crazy.
Steve, thanks for coming in, man.
Thank you, bud.
Really
Thank you,
appreciate it.
Nancy.
Appreciate
Thank you,
it.
Stevie.
Thanks.
Thank you all.